Hi everybody, welcome back to Movie Related. Today we're going to talk about three things. One good, one bad, one so-so. We're not talking about us, although we could be. But we're going to talk about three of the Ghostbusters movies. We're going to forget all about Ghostbusters 2. We're talking about original movie Ghostbusters,
1984,
2016, and 2021. Afterlife. Let's talk about the three Ghostbusters and how they either worked or didn't work, and if we liked them, right after this.
Oh my god, it's wet. Oh.
Okay, now just for fun, before we even start out, in your opinion right now, rate all three Ghostbusters, 1 out of 10.
If I were to say at the time,
Yes.
I would say it was probably an 8 at the time. Now, movies have changed. My interest in that style of movie has changed, so I'd probably give it a 7.
Okay.
What? For
The original.
The original.
Ghostbusters?
Okay, 2016.
2016, I'd probably give a 6.
And Afterlife. You
I-
gave it a 6.9.
6.9.
Yourself.
Original has got to be an 8.5.
Okay.
The 2016 is a 4.
Okay.
And 7.5, the newest Ghostbusters movie.
Okay. For me, that was perfectly suited for my childhood, like when my age group. I would say it would be a 9. Watching it again, I still enjoy it. So I'd still be in the high 7, high 8s for it. 2016, I'm going to give it a 3. And I'll explain why when we get into the comparisons. But the Afterlife, I said a 7. Not a great movie, not a horrible movie, an okay movie that I didn't hate going to. That's to me a 7. It's a fun movie. Didn't hate it. All right. If we're going to compare the three movies, we have to start off with the original. And it was lightning in a bottle. You had three of the highest comedic actors of the time going together.
Well, Harold, Ramis wasn't like a top-notch comedic actor.
No, but they played off each other so well.
Yeah, there was chemistry.
There was definitely chemistry.
There was huge chemistry. And it was written. It wasn't ad-libbed. It was a script. It was thoughtful humor. It wasn't sight gags a lot. It wasn't, it wasn't slapstick. It was humor. And it was, like, it just caught you off guard funny. Even the ending with Gozer, you knew what was going. They didn't have to explain anything in this movie. They didn't explain that, this is how the proton calc thing works, and they didn't explain the traps, and they just did it, and you believed it. You went along with it. They didn't have to explain all the science.
And I think you understood it better than in 2016 when they try to half explain what this stuff is.
The thing about the first one, though, is that you're able to have that lightning in a bottle because everything is happening for the first time.
That's true.
So what you have Slimer. Oh my god, did you see that cute little ghost? For the first time. And then obviously you have Bill Murray. He was huge at that time. He had Stripes going on. He had this movie. He was a known quantity.
His dry humor,
Dan
hilarious.
Aykroyd at the time, a known quantity. And then you had the Ray Parker Jr. Theme song, which launched this movie into the stratosphere. I believe half the success of this movie was that song.
Well, it was just catchy. It was, and you know what? When you went the opening of Ghostbusters, when the lady's walking through the library and you see the books floating like this, and then the ghost screams at her, it's creepy for back then. That's creepy back then. They didn't go into like cartoony stuff. You believe that these are scary creatures. So we all agree that the first one, lightning in a bottle, well written, well acted. It's almost impossible to copy it, right?
Not only that, but even if you brought out that movie today, just the style of the filming, it's completely different. Everything is very slow-paced. People are allowed to be people. And the story just comes naturally. Everything now has to happen boom, 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 boom,
Well,
boom.
see, that's probably we'll get into that when we get into the Afterlife. That was probably my biggest problem with Afterlife is they didn't let it go long enough. They rushed the end. Well, let's go to 2016.
Okay.
All right. So everything in this movie was the opposite, it seemed, of the original. Instead of, building up characters and dynamic writing and funny humor, it was sight gags and long-running biffs.
And fart jokes.
Riffs and quiff jokes and holy jumping. Kristen Wiig's character with the Kevin character. Like, if that was a man doing that to a woman, there would be write-ups in every paper saying that it's a misogynist, it's this, it's that. She was fawning over him, touching him, innuendo all the time. It was horrible that way. Like, over the top. That if it was a male character doing that to a female character, it would have been completely off the wall.
Okay, fine. You have that criticism. Did you care?
No, but it's part of the whole movie.
The problem is people who criticize stuff like that are the problem. The fact that it happened in this movie, I don't care. I thought it was funny.
You thought her fawning over him and everything was funny.
I thought her being so overly attracted to him and being so nerdy about it, I thought that was funny.
Okay. It didn't resonate with me.
And the fact that she was coming on to him and touching him, I don't care because I'm not a woke dork.
No, but you have to.
You're a dork.
This had the Captain Marvel whole thing laid out for it. It was doomed to fail as soon as they said it's an all-female cast Ghostbusters and the all-female production crew, and they started going on this whole woke journey with it.
Well, there's a reason for that, though.
Okay, it doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with the movie itself.
Okay.
Everybody was going to hate it no matter
That's
what.
not necessarily true. What they were going to do is they were going to be critical of it. Okay?
Yes, but
they
more
were
so,
going to watch it.
More so than if all that marketing had not happened.
Yeah, but they're the ones who did the marketing.
It doesn't matter.
Aiming at that.
It does.
They wanted that.
But remember, the marketing is not the movie.
No, and I'm not criticizing the marketing. I'm
Okay,
criticizing the
But
movie.
when we went into this movie,
Yes.
we were already preconditioned to have skepticism. When I watched this movie, I was also preconditioned with, I hated the whole woke movement. And I went into it and I had a bad opinion of the movie. And upon rewatching it, I said, this is not as bad as I remember feeling about it when I first watched it. This is not a great movie.
No.
But it is much less bad than I thought it was.
Explain to me what you enjoyed about it.
I enjoyed the basic story. Going into a reboot. This was not a sequel. This was a reboot.
Right, because the original Ghostbusters didn't exist in this universe.
Yeah, and the actors that came back from the original cast were
different people,
characters.
which is a whole other story.
and
The
they were
cameos
throwaways.
were like horrible.
And so I like the story. I like Kristen Wiig's character. I did like Melissa McCarthy. You guys say she's always over the top and ad-libbing. In this one, she was very toned down.
What?
But I still liked her. Yeah, she was.
She yelled every single line.
She was very toned down compared to any of her last movies.
Yeah, the ones that were unsuccessful.
And even Kate McKinnon was
Yeah.
the blonde. I thought, had you taken that character out of the movie, people would have probably given this an extra 2 or 3 points out of 10, because that character did not fit. What I did not like is once they started getting into the ghost busting and all the CGI garbage crap action at the end, that was terrible.
Okay, here's some of the problems. I've rewatched it many times now to make sure that I'm not, like you said when we first went into it. Well, I've seen it many times since then. It's 5 years since that movie came out, and I've seen it more than once. All right.
That's a weird thing for someone who hated it so much.
I did, because I like to watch some of the other reviews of it and then go back and see what I missed, which is kind of funny. But here's some of the things I didn't like. They riffed too much in this movie. It was roll the camera, stand there, and you guys just say funny things, and we'll use some of it eventually.
I was looking for that, but I didn't see it like I saw it in Thunder Force.
Well, here's the thing. In the original Ghostbusters movie, how long did it take to hire Winston? Hi, this is Winston. He's looking for a job. Great, you're hired. Done. It was 5-minute interview with Kevin.
Yeah,
Where
but-
they riffed back and forth. Funny jokes. Oh, poking his eye because he has no glasses.
Okay, but
where do you live?
But that's not riffing. That was
No, you know-
that was acting, and it was funny.
Except here's the thing. There was not a written dialogue for that. They sat in front of the table for 45 minutes and just let them run.
Okay, so
That's not a written
You either
joke.
researched this or you listened to other reviewers who said this.
This is Paul Feig.
Okay, but I don't care because it was funny.
I did this 45 minutes to do an
I
interview.
didn't find anything in this movie funny.
No.
Where's all this humor coming from this movie for you? I didn't find anything in this movie funny. I was not sitting there laughing at all of their like talking.
Or the Melissa McCarthy
didn't
being
think
thrown around.
Any of their jokes were funny.
They showed 3 different scenes in this movie of them trying the tech. And guess what? The tech did not work all 3 times.
Okay, that's a criticism. That's fine.
That's a big criticism. It's just slow. We were an hour. I wrote down my note. An hour into the movie, we have not busted one ghost yet. Not one.
Not busted, but there was a ghost. How
Like-
long do you think it took them to bust a ghost in the original?
I would like you to go through the movie again,
A lot
Paul,
faster than an hour.
and just write down what jokes you thought were funny.
I'm not going to watch this again.
Like,
Okay. In this movie, it was just all 4 of the comedians seemed to have the same stick. The same loud, yelling, falling all over the place, except for Kate McKinnon, who was more of a sleazy, weird person in this movie. So it just didn't resonate.
But, another thing I would like people to consider is if you ever happen to watch it again, is that put a male cast. Just switch them out with a male cast.
still
and,
bad.
and do a lot of the same jokes. And
Still would be bad.
I was watching with this in mind, and I said, you know what? People are probably criticizing that right now, and I'm thinking if you had 2 male comedian actors, and the same dialogue happened, I bet you nobody would bat an eye and they would chuckle.
Okay, well, what you're saying can't be proven. A.
It can't be. But what I'm thinking is that a lot of people had a problem right off the bat, whether you like it or not, with the gender marketing.
Yeah, but
And it
you're
colored
assuming
everything.
we do right now.
You did at the time. I
But
remember
I've
you did
watched
at the
it
time.
since then, and it still hasn't resonated.
Okay.
But-
It doesn't. I'm not saying this was a 10. I'm
No.
saying it's not a 3.
I'm saying it was
Playing
a 3.
with Fire was a 3.
Playing with Fire was less than a 3.
Okay. Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Now we have already a big review about this.
We do. There's a couple of things though that we didn't touch on that I wasn't a fan of with Ghostbusters Afterlife. That I think maybe like all of the miniature Stay Puffs, right? That became a little much, right? Where they were everywhere. I could have dealt with the few on this shelf, and then that was good for me. But then to be out throughout the whole movie, all in these little places, that kind of bothered me a little bit. And in the original Ghostbusters, and this is just something that we were talking about a little bit earlier, Gozer basically said, okay, well, whatever you're thinking of is going to be what destroys you. Well, Afterlife should have had that moment at the end. There should have been a moment, the same sort of deal where whatever you think of, and then whatever they came up with for them to think about would have been the thing. But
See, I kind of agree with that. That's why I say the ending seems rushed. But I know why they did. They went with the emotional thing for Harold Ramis. They went for his fond farewell. Right? They didn't want to disrespect the character and didn't want anyone saying they're disrespecting the character.
at the same time, they could have gotten real funny with that.
They could have, but people would have been all over them. You're disrespecting them. So I see why they didn't do that. I liked the girl character. I liked podcast. I even liked the older brother. Some of his humor and one-line jokes were funny. I enjoyed that. The mother, I could kind of have done without.
She was a little too much.
Too much. I hate science person. For a person who has a daughter who's so into science, right? The whole idea of also Egon disappearing from everybody and the other guys not believing him about
I didn't mind
Gozer and
that.
all that. Why would they not believe him? He's been right about everything so far. He's the genius of the group.
but I didn't mind that he knew what he had to do and he went away.
Yeah,
and
but
he did
why
it.
did Ray not do it? Why did Ray not believe him? He even says it when they called, I'm sorry I didn't believe you and all. I didn't like that part.
Something I wanted to say, but I didn't want to be mocked.
We're gonna mock you anyway.
Yeah, stand by.
I was reading another review just online,
Okay.
and they said the same thing I was thinking at the time. Said this was the Force Awakens of Ghostbusters.
Yeah, setting up the next series.
It was just the same movie redone for a younger audience to restart the franchise.
No, it's not the same movie at all.
It was the same movie. The villains, okay, it was the same movie but worse because it was Gozer, it was the dogs, it was the Stave Puft Marshmallow Man. The only good things you could say about the movie is it had Egon and the other
Okay, no,
three.
listen. You had the same villains. Okay, the same supernatural setup, which is fine. But the characters that were there to go through the motions to get to the
just
villains.
like The Force Awakens had Poe and Rey.
But they all had the same. They were the Jedi, and they all had the same sort of roles.
So you had the
These are
science.
becoming the new Ghostbusters.
Okay, but no, they're not going to have a little kid Ghostbuster.
No, but they're going to grow up.
This was
This
not
is
a-
them spinning off.
This was they had to bring all that stuff from the original Ghostbusters back just to give this movie any legs whatsoever. There was nothing special
Because
or original about this movie.
Because this was a sequel where 2016 was a reboot.
And The Force Awakens was a sequel. Unfortunately, it was just cut and paste, just like this one.
Okay.
There was
Okay.
nothing
Now,
original.
I'm not disputing The Force Awakens was exactly what you're saying it is.
That's what this is.
I don't think this is
They
what
want
this...
to reboot this franchise for
Yes,
a
they want to
younger
start-
audience,
yes.
but they want the same story. Unfortunately, the same story is done worse than the original story.
Now,
I can't... Well, yes.
I see
like
this.
it's lightning
I
in the
see the
bottle.
spin-off exactly what you're saying. I see that as well. Let's hope they don't do a Last Jedi thing and they come out with Ghostbusters 2 and A New Life. And hey, guess what? There's no ghosts in it. Oh, wouldn't that be subverting your expectations, everybody?
Like a lot of people are like you were drawing comparisons to the Goonies, but they didn't go Goonies. They should have gone Goonies. A bunch of kids getting together and doing the mission, but you didn't. You had these two over doing this thing. You had this one over here trying to pursue a romance.
Yeah, I
never
think they
really got
they
together.
kind of separated the kids too much. They should have bonded together to fight.
See, but all of our thoughts when we first saw the first preview for this, and all of a sudden we saw kids, we went, "Oh no!"
Yeah, but
Right?
they were the biggest good surprise of
Yeah,
this movie.
exactly. And you know what? Paul Rudd, who I love, Paul Rudd's acting. I love his acting. Was kind of an in this movie.
I liked him. I think
He was
fine.
he was okay, but he was not a big part of the movie. He wasn't a main character by any means. He was a very side character in this movie.
Now, spoiler, but we already did a review.
Yep.
You have the four original cast members coming back at the end. And I know it's supposed to be this big, memorable, emotional thing. Okay, I thought that was cringy as hell. Cringy. Bill Murray looked like he didn't want to be there. Dan Aykroyd was and Winston, okay. Nothing special about that moment. It was like they were sitting in front of a green screen, waiting to say their line, and then they shot some beams, and that was it.
Okay.
Oh my god, what a waste.
They could have done better with that scene. Yes, I agree.
Okay. They're 100. They're not going to start running through New York City anymore.
No, but you could have a funny line when you're 100.
You know what? I didn't mind Bill Murray's character and his interaction with the little girl and all that. Like, it wasn't... They didn't try and make them all of a sudden the story. They just showed up to help,
Yeah.
right? And I'm okay with that. They send off their friend, and you know what? The whole thing of him floating up into the star, that's a little... Yeah, I would... Like Mark says, they should have just trapped them.
They should have. The gun should have gone on him as soon as they started to get emotional. There, the gun should have gone on him. They should have trapped him, and then he should have been the main villain in the next movie.
No, they won't. Well, you know...
If you're gonna have something interesting, that could have been something interesting.
Yeah, I would have laughed.
But Gozer was not interesting.
No, I see. I agree with that. That whole plot line. That's what I said. The ending was rushed.
That's why I say this is Force Awakens. Force Awakens on its own was a good movie, but it was a terrible Star Wars movie. This was a good movie, but it was a terrible Ghostbusters movie.
See, I thought Force Awakens was a good sending point for the next movies. Unfortunately, they disregarded everything they set up. That's the problem with The Force Awakens. Hey, this is all the stuff we love. Hey, look, here comes the X-Wings. Ooh, everything's fun. Star Wars. Hey, there's Harrison Ford again. And then they just threw it all away after that.
Yeah.
Where they could have built on it.
Let's kill everyone.
This one, if they do it right, the kids will get older. They could start being the new Ghostbusters. They could open a franchise.
See, it's fine to go to a movie and not laugh, except when they try to make it a comedy.
This 2016 was the Captain Marvel Ghostbusters for me. I went in it angry because of the marketing, and I didn't enjoy it as much as I should have. Captain Marvel got a very bad rap because of the marketing. It wasn't as bad as people say it is. It's not great, but it wasn't a terrible movie.
I think it got all the... It wasn't even the marketing. It was the actress herself and all her stuff that she was saying.
The controversy beforehand, yeah.
It wasn't so much the marketing for that.
So, 2016, not a great movie.
No.
Not a great movie. But middle of the road. There are worse movies out there.
Well, there are. Playing with Fire. Horrible movie, folks. Horrible movie. Don't watch it. Don't subject your kids to it. But I will still say, in my mind, it's a 3. And it has nothing to do with people and social stuff. I just didn't like the movie. I didn't like the story. The villains were unmemorable. They oversaturated the colors in that movie. Everything was super bright. And
all the CGI at the end was bad.
It was just bad. It was just... And like... 3 scenes of explaining stuff and 3 scenes of interviews and just, funny, we're going to talk and no, write a line. Paul Feig, write a line, let them read it. Don't just say roll cameras. So are we all in agreement? Paul Feig should never do another Ghostbusters film ever again. Paul thinks it was okay. I still will resolve that one was a 3. We're pretty mixed saying it was an okay film, Afterlife. Not overly disappointed, but not super great.
Yeah, middle of the road.
Middle of the road. Some funny humor in it. And you do get to see the original Ghostbusters back together again. Something, as you mentioned, Star Wars never gave us. So at least we did get that send-off.
Yeah, because if we didn't get it, if we didn't get that moment, everyone would complain that we didn't get that moment.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I wish they just would have done it well.
Okay, so better.
Better.
Do better.
And the original is still, by far, a classic comedic movie.
Yes. I can watch it again and still laugh.
I still have. Yes. Lightning in a bottle. Let us know what you guys think. Do you think we're way out to lunch? Did you enjoy 2016? I'm curious about that one for you folks out there. It's been 5 years. Tell us in the comments if you like the movie. We have a very high female audience.
Yeah, and if you rewatch it, tell us if you still feel the same as you did the first time you watched it.
Yeah. Like I said, I think I went in and tried to give it a really fair shake. I just didn't like the comedy, and that was the part that annoyed me. And let us know in the comments down below. And until next time, if you're still here at the end, thank you. Because you've been sticking around for a long, long time, and we'll see you next time. We'll try and make it much shorter.
Thank you for sticking around. This has been a long video, and I'd just like to say that...
That's why I was doing it.
Oh my god, it's wet. Oh.